So, I was originally going to make a video about the tools that we use to make WizardChess, our tactical turn-based roguelike, currently in Steam Early Access, but I kind of got halfway through and realized that I don't feel comfortable pretending to be an authority on game development on YouTube. And so I thought I would talk about that a little bit more because I'm enjoying making these videos, but I want to be careful not to get sucked into the YouTube wormhole of like everything becomes about here's how I made $100,000 making my indie game. I want to make things that are interesting and relevant to people, obviously, but I don't like presenting this idea that game development is solved or that I particularly have the answers you seek or that I even know what I'm doing. I watched some interviews with Jacob Collier recently, and he said,
there's this funny myth that you need to somehow know what you're doing, but people who know what they're doing don't make interesting work. It's just as simple as that.
And I've been thinking about this a lot because what we've been trying to do with WizardChess has been a bit confused, both publicly and internally. We mostly want to make interesting work, as in a game that isn't really like other games. We've also chosen to make this a commercial product, and especially one in early access, that has had strict tension with this like, let's explore and see what's here kind of approach, where you need to present a roadmap that makes sense to people who've paid money for your game. We have been trying to make these two competing feelings work together, and I don't think that they do, to be honest. We're not new to commercial game development. I've released a number of paid iOS games and we've made one commercial Steam game in the past. And I think we've been making some version of the same mistake the entire time. While saying something like, I don't care about the commercial side of this, we have been making decisions that were influenced by the commercial side of things without committing fully to the idea that we wanted to make successful, financially viable products because we do this part-time and have existing careers already. So by trying to serve two masters, I feel like you end up serving neither a lot of the time, not just in this one instance, but generally in life. And I wanted to get specific about how confusing this has been. We are staring down the barrel of the game being pretty much finished now. We have almost all the content we had ever planned to put in it, and we have more than that actually in it. But at the same time, there's something about the onboarding to the game that lacks. The basic problem is that it's really hard to start playing WizardChess. Entry barrier needs to be lower if you want people to come on board as random new players who've never heard of it and actually have a good time. From a commercial product point of view, it's very straightforward. Just fix the problem, smooth the onboarding and entry. But to a degree, this fights with some of the basic design ideas we've had the entire time for WizardChess, of it being complicated and being a kind of game that I enjoy, which is one where there's crazy complexity going on and you have to unwind it by playing and learning and observing. It just turns out that that's not a super friendly experience for first-time players to be exposed to. I've been working on something I would call arcade mode recently, which is a response to this problem. Once you get out of the tutorial, all of the challenges you face are sort of like missions in a story mode. You play a particular opponent at a particular rank difficulty, and that starts with a certain starting party, and the scenario effectively you play is different in story mode. It actually lifts a lot of pressure onto the player to think about what they want to play right now, whereas especially when you start playing a game you do not yet know anything about, what you would like to do in the game. You just bought it, you've just picked it up. So we wanted to make a button effectively that you can go to straight from the tutorial. It puts you in a mode I would call arcade mode, that is just an endless string of combat encounters with shops in it. A little bit more streamlined. We took it a little bit further and said, hey, let's scope it to 15 minutes. You get 15 minutes to build up a run, and then you have to fight a boss, and then it's a high score based thing. This all works just fine, but it feels like, are we giving something up about the core identity of the game in the process of creating a feature like this? To maximize the number of people who can onboard into your work and enjoy it and connect with it, you need to some degree, remove some of the personality and idiosyncrasy. Making products is fine. Making things for the audience to make sure their experience is good is fine. In fact, I think it's really cool and a pure way of making things that shouldn't be seen as somehow inferior to making things just for yourself. Problem is the clarity between which mindset is being applied at each stage of the project. The big lesson I would say we are learning from WizardChess right now is the difference between the explore phase and the exploit phase of game development and design. Exploring, we're very good at, I would say. We can experiment with mechanics, have new ideas, validate things very quickly. What we're not so good at is actually taking the time to separate that explore headspace from okay, we found something good, now let's make the minimum scoped version of it into a product. For the first 2 years of development, we were exploring, and then we should have created a prototype at that point, drawn a line in the sand, done a lot of playtesting with it, and decided what the commercial potential was, if any, of that prototype, and then made the smallest, most focused version of it into a commercial product. That might sound obvious to you if you are a commercial game developer already. That is basically how people tend to do this. I'm still working this out, and I could tell you exactly how we're going to approach our future projects, and I would be wrong, because by the time we get to them, we'll probably have learned more things. I don't know how to make a good video game, necessarily. I don't know how to make a financially successful video game. I do know how to have a lot of fun exploring ideas of video games, and I do know how to evaluate those ideas and build them very quickly in a way that is fairly technologically sophisticated. Like, I'm not bad at this, but specifically around business, I think there is this perception that everybody is winning when you look at YouTube videos. Like, I'm just here to say it. We're not winning. Like, WizardChess is not some like massive blockbuster success. Products are inherently marketable good. Will our addition of arcade mode to WizardChess somehow turn WizardChess from like a effectively game design experiment that is pretty well developed into a highly polished commercial product that everybody loves? Probably not, but it might get more people through the door. I think it would be a disservice to the game and to our existing players if we were to just decide to finish the game and release it as is when I know that it could be better for a lot of players. It's not new for someone who likes to be creative to complain about commercialization of the space that they work in. That's not really the point that I'm making, though. I have no problem with commercial products existing or people making them. I'm merely saying that I need to be much clearer about how I engage with the process of creating products. I haven't really got a strong take-home point other than make sure that you understand whether you're currently exploring or exploiting, and understand when you are making a product versus playing with ideas versus making an artwork. Those things can get very messy and entangled with each other, and I can't explain to you how to keep them separate. I don't know that you necessarily can. This is the hard part of being a creative online in the modern era who's trying to make any money from their work. You have a lot of voices yelling at you, and you are the only one who can decide what to actually do with all that information. So there you go. Here's another voice yelling at you with some information. I hope that was helpful at all. I'll catch you in the next one.